Hey, also Nitro Nerds here, and this video is really just a bunch of random crap. Because that's what we have going on right now. Excuse me, just a bunch of random crap. I apologize about the quality of the formatting of this video. It's a new camera I have, and it's horrible. I also apologize about the content of this video. Can't do a whole much about that, though. However, regarding the camera, Sunday's my birthday, and I have a feeling I'll be getting a new one. A good one. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the video. I had planned on bashing our Savage Nitro Nerd style over the weekend, and this was going to be the next part in our video series to rebuild a Savage F4.6. However, there's something on here I noticed that is concerning. The brake discs on here that you can see come out as far they'll actually touch the engine plate and of course even the clutch bell itself. So I ordered a new set of brake discs. I'm assuming those are just worn. They've got about 4 gallons on it. I would have thought I'd get more than that, but it is what it is. Anyways, so after we do the, full-on bashing session just to make sure its durability is where we want it to be, after that we will then morph into the performance handling aspects of it. So there's a few things that I need to do prior to that to get it prepped and ready to run. First will be this mid-take lean. I'm getting a clock Novarossi to put on the Savage, and I'm not going to run that until I get this fixed. The other part is what people call this off the throttle mod. And it's interesting because I wasn't going to employ this for the simple fact that I have no issues whatsoever with the linkage on here. It accelerates fine, it brakes fine, all of that. And I'm actually very, very OCD about my link setups. So, I know a bad one when I see it, and I know a good one when I see it. To that end, no one has been able to really explain the benefit of this throttle mod, which is really just you're putting on some actuators and collars and throttle springs such as that. It's more like just a traditional link setup. And, the only feedback I guess I could get from people is, well, it's just better. It accelerates better and it brakes better. However, I was talking to my buddy Neil Smith, who owns Clockwork Racing Engines, and it's something that he was pretty adamant about me employing this. And he gave me a plethora of reasons as to why to do it, specific to his engines. And one of the things that a lot of people might not realize is that your linkage will affect your tune. I mean, it will affect it greatly. And man, he rattled off just, like I said, just, a slew of reasons as to why to do this. And I was geeked after speaking. I was ready to do it right then and there. So off the throttle mod, I'm happy to roll film on it if anybody wants to see it. I also need a new chassis just because this one is bent. So if someone can recommend one, if I should just get stock, that's fine. I actually kind of prefer it because they're really inexpensive. But if anybody could recommend one that would allow me to lower the ride height on it substantially, let me know. I don't want to do any crazy modifications on it or anything like that. I want something that will be somewhat of a direct fit because I want to keep the spirit of what this is, which is a monster truck. I don't want to turn it into a truggy per se, but again, I would like the option to lower the ride height. Next up would be tires and wheels. Again, I'm still, somewhat new to the monster trucks, so I'm trying to get my pulse on understanding which tires fit which wheels and things such as that. I'd like a good set of bashing tires, just kind of all around. One of the ones I'm looking at are those dirt bones, and I'd like to understand the options I have for wheels on that. If anybody can recommend either some wheels for the dirt bones or a good set of, like I said, all-around bashing tires, please let me know. While I don't build shelf queens, I do think it's important to keep your vehicles clean from a performance aspect, at least. And you can see I use a lot of different cleaning agents and whatnot. However, I've recently stumbled across one that stands above the rest like nothing I've ever seen, and it's this Calgar degreaser. I don't think I'll ever use well, I know I'll never use anything else again. This is the hands down best, easiest, stuff that I've used. It puts everything you see on here to shame. Typically what a lot of people do will use the degreaser, spray it off, and then use this Prep and Shine. Prep and Shine's nice. It's, it's kind of it coats it a little bit and helps, dirt fall off and stuff like that. But this right here, this is unreal. A little hard to find, but I'm about to buy a case of it. I've tried out a lot of different servo horns, and I run aluminum on all my vehicles. My all-time favorite is this OFNA one right here. I don't know the part number offhand, but just look up OFNA clamp style horn. Additionally, I run clamp style on all my vehicles now. It's really saved me a few times. Somebody asked me one day who it was that I was mimicking when I do my dumb guy voice. And I'm not going to give any names, but I'll just tell you that it's this guy in one of these forums, and he's your poster child for the blowhard who's been in a hobby like 10, 15 years and runs cheap ass shit, and bullies guys that run Red Cat and stuff, and thinks he knows it all right, but he never really progressed past, I don't know, Traxxas. I'm not trying to put down Traxxas, but you're like Traxxas and LRP. Anyways, so like with ProTech, somebody asked one day, what's a good servo? Like what's a good, bang for the buck? And I'll recommend ProTech all day. And so I recommended it. And this guy, again, he's like, he doesn't know his stuff, but he's always the first to tell people what they need to do. And he's like, ProTech, man, I never heard of that shit. What the hell's ProTech? Must be some Chinese crap. Man, I run Savox. It's got like, 220 ounces at 0.15 seconds. I'm like, well, yeah, Savox is nice. You can see, actually, I have them in high tech. ProTech's Futaba. They're just rebranded. And I don't care what you say, 500 ounces of torque at 0.08 seconds is more impressive than 250 ounces of torque at 0.15 seconds. Again, I'm certainly no expert at this stuff, but that much I do know. I'm sold. We spent most of the first year in our hobby learning, of course, and also compiling different vehicles. We spent the second year in our hobby making those vehicles the best they can be. I think I like the latter better. I have two vehicles here that I'm extremely proud of, in that I took these ready to run and I continue to make them into just freaking animals. There's also something to be said for the fact that I've not jeopardized the integrity of what they are, and this being a low C810 and this being an OFNA Hyper 7. I've recently learned about shelf queens, in that on one of these forums that I go to, someone posted a thread, hey, I'm making a shelf queen. And I don't really understand that concept, but in learning about it, they say that it's a piece of art. It's an art form. It's a thing of beauty. And I get that. And from my perspective, taking something like this Hyper 7 and turning it into what I've turned it into and continue to turn it into, that's a thing of beauty. It's not meant to look beautiful sitting here on my workbench. It's meant to look beautiful and as proud as I am of those two cats right there, I'm going to be even prouder of what's coming down the pike and what I'm turning this Savage into. And once again, I'm going to keep the integrity of what it is. It's a monster truck. It's a Savage. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I've actually become pretty good at dremeling out strip screws, and that's just because I've had to do it so often. I'd say in the past year, I've probably had to dremel out maybe 30, 40 different screws. Excuse me. Most recently, one that was on a servo horn going into a high-tech 7955. This was challenging, you can see, because it was way down in there and I had to Dremel right through the horn, unfortunately, but I got it out and didn't damage the servo. Additionally, the one thing I was always scared about with respect to stripping screws happened, and that is I stripped a clutch bell screw, and it was on a B6. This is just another engine right here, and it was right here, and it wasn't a cap head. It was one of the few times, for whatever reason, I didn't use a cap head. Instead, I used a button head. But I was able to Dremel it out, no problem at all, and I didn't damage the drive shaft either. In a way, it's good because it gives me confidence to thread lock the hell out of everything. We tried out 2 new sets of tires that we've never run before. First, these J Concepts Hitman. Yeah, they're okay. This is mainly, for a track, and then for bashing purposes, I got these really silly, I don't know what brand they are. They're cheap. It was like 15 bucks for all 4 of them. Excuse me. And you can see, I ran it yesterday in some mud, and man, these things, they stick. Out of all the engines I've owned, I'd say that this F4.6, which is from the Savage, is the easiest to tune. It's been over a month since I've even touched my beloved Losi 810, which is my all-time favorite RC vehicle. In a way, I think it's been good for me just to kind of step back. The last time that I had driven it, it ran straight into a brick wall going probably about 40 miles an hour. It was a runaway, excuse me, and I haven't even really gone through and looked at the damage yet. I'm going to do that probably in a week or so because I'm starting to get the itch to get this thing back out on the road. The one thing I definitely want for it is an inline pipe. I'm really sick of these component pipes, and so doing a little bit of research, and there's a lot of conflicting information out there, but I think I've narrowed it down. I've got a choice between, there's an often manifold that will fit small block exhaust, but 1/8 pipes, or I'll just go with the 110 scale pipe. I actually do like this pipe. Again, it's just the fact that it's component. Plus, after all this pipe testing I've been doing on my vehicles, I'm really seeing just an insane difference it makes. So it's not going to hurt to try something new. This is how I solder. We have yet to break anything on this Tamiya 801 XT. That's the good news. The bad news is I don't think we've driven it yet more than 30 minutes straight without something coming apart on it. I was able to fix the issue on the shocks. They were literally coming apart after probably every 10 minutes of running by thread locking both the top cap and the bottom cap. Top cap, just put a little bit, like a Q-tip or something, clean it real good, and just apply a little bit on there, and knock on wood, it's held up great. However, there's more areas for improvement. For those of you that have this truggy, you notice that there's some things on here that are a little bit different. In my next update video, I'll walk you through exactly what I did, but the short version, I put on some Hyper 7 steering knuckles, caster block, and I changed out this rod end design right here. This is hot bodies, this is Hyper 7 again. Really the whole intent is to be able to capture it because I kept popping it, so this allows me to capture it through down like that. Plus I kept stripping the holes, both of them on the stock knuckles got stripped and they kept coming out. These knuckles on here might not look as pretty as the stock ones, but they work. This isn't a shelf queen. As for the part numbers I used, for these right here, these are just the stock ones, and it's 87032. You can see right there. One really nice latent effect to this is that I can also now switch out caster blocks as I deem necessary. And if you're really interested, these knuckles right here do come in, you can get them in CNC. These are probably about $15 for a pair. These are about $50. So now all I'm really wanting to do is make this thing durable like this and make this handle like this. So that's going to be it for this video. This weekend is when we will do the next part of our Savage rebuild series. And it's when we will go through and put it through its durability test, extreme durability test, at least a gallon of fuel. I'll be surprised if it makes it through the weekend. Once we complete that is when we morph into the performance handling aspects of the rebuild. And I'm very excited about that. I promise you.
You won't recognize it.